troubles every day. Makes me wanna holler, go away. I need more peace and hope and love. Where do I find it in this crazy old world? I need strategies, strategies for living radio. Your dose of radio rehab. Strategies for living radio. Every time I listen, Lauren and David share strategies for living, and it makes me aware. I've got strategies, I got strategies for living, strategies for living radio. Your dose of radio rehab. Strategies for living radio. Your dose of radio rehab. Strategies for living radio.
Oh, you know, we need them. We need those strategies, don't we?
Oh, we do.
Yeah, we need strategies for living. You ready? You ready for your daily dose of radio rehab?
I am very ready.
I knew you would be.
I've got a four-legged creature who's really ready today.
Yeah. He's been looking forward to today's program.
He's itching for love.
Oh. Hey, folks, welcome. Welcome into 1017 FM, 710 Keel. Welcome into another edition of Strategies for Living. I'm Dr. David McMillan. She is psychotherapist, PLPC Lauren Leon McMillan, and you've already tipped the scale. Spoiler alert. Yeah, but what you have not said is that we have got an award-winning storyteller,
yes,
beloved award-winning NPR storyteller. She's Shelley Mickle, and she's got a new book out. It's called Itching to Love, The Story of a Dog. And what's dog spelled backwards?
Yeah.
Anyway,
some insight there, huh?
Yeah. We're going to look forward to Shelley as a life strategist today. She's been on NPR, but I wonder if she's ever been a life strategist. We'll find that out. Anyway, she is going to share her views on horses, on men, on motherhood, lasagna, outer space, the founding fathers, laughter, and, of course, Buddy. Buddy is the dog of her heart, right?
I'm very excited.
Yeah. This is going to be fun.
Sounds like she's got some great strategies.
I definitely know that Shelley has some great strategies, and I know that she's going to earn her stripes as a life strategist. And hey, you've got big news.
I do.
Yeah.
So
we've been talking about this.
We've been talking. Well, it's finally here. We are officially launched on podcast, wherever you get podcast, everywhere. Whether that's Spotify, Pandora, Apple Podcast. You can find the newest season of Strategies for Living.
Now you can listen to Strategies right
as
there.
A podcast.
All right. What a deal. So you don't ever have to worry about, you're going down the road and you want to take notes and the dust on your dashboard. Well, you don't have to worry about it.
Not anymore.
You run out of dust. Hey, folks, thank you for tuning in to Strategies for Living. We appreciate you being here, and we appreciate our sponsors making it possible. The Robinson Film Center and Azalea Cleaners and Pintail Roofing.
Roof.
And Learning RX and the Balanced Life Wellness Center and Fertitta's Delicatessen, home of The Godfather, Alligator Italian Sausage, and some pretty good muffies, too. Back in a moment to meet Shelley Mickle today, our life strategist, the author of Itching to Love, right here on Strategies for Living.
Tune in daily, find the light. Healthy mind and spirits bright. Strategies for living strong. Feel the vibe, it won't go wrong. Body moves and soul align. Catch the rhythm, feel the time. Radio rehab every day. Chase those clouds of gray away. Your daily dose of radio rehab. Lift you up when skies seem drab. Mind and body, spirits free. Living life in harmony.
And welcome into 1017 FM, 710 Keel. Welcome into Strategies for Living. Lauren Leon McMillan, David McMillan. Let's welcome into the program now Shelley Mickle, who grew up in the Mississippi River Delta, attending the University of Mississippi, hoping to learn about writing from William Faulkner, who lived next to the campus. After college, she worked in mental health because she wanted to learn how to create compelling characters in novels that she would one day write, as well as to learn to help people live their best life, and especially to diagnose everybody in her family. I'll end right there and bring Shelley in, because I don't think you can get any better than that. I mean, what does every family want? They want somebody to come in and diagnose them, right?
Of course. Thank you for having me. And since I grew up in southern Arkansas in a little town called McCrory, over 70 years ago, I was in the first grade. And my boyfriend was Mickey Mahon. So if you're listening, I want you to know I still love you.
I love it. All right, if we get a connect from Mickey, we'll definitely send it your way.
Well, thank you. That's the whole purpose of this program.
Absolutely.
I wanted to talk a little bit about why I wrote this book to start off with, and then we'll get to Buddy.
Okay, we got to get to Buddy.
Absolutely.
Yeah, but why did you write this book, Shelley?
Well, I had written two narrative histories. First of all was Borrowing Life, about the first successful kidney transplant.
Yeah.
And then I followed it up with White House Wild Child, about Alice Roosevelt driving her father nuts.
Right.
And so when I finished promoting those, I actually became very concerned about our mental health coming out of the pandemic, and also the division in our nation, and the dislike of people among political parties. It's not supposed to be that way.
Right.
So I wanted to write something that would bring out our humor. You know, Mark Twain published The Jumping Frog of Calaveras County in the last few days of the Civil War.
Yeah.
And when it was published in all the newspapers, people read it and took it as a sign that it was okay to start laughing together. And so this is the mantra that we need to aim for. Is Mark Twain said, humor is the saving thing. When it pops up, all of our hardness is smoothed out. Our irritations and our grievances fly away.
Yeah.
So I wanted to write, I worked with a very famous editor way back 40 years ago. I've been publishing and writing books for 50 years. So you get the idea I'm pretty old. So anyway, I worked with this man, and a friend of mine gave him the first novel I was working on. And it was a manuscript of 600 pages. And he read it. I didn't know who he was until I read an article in the New York Times that he was the greatest living editor since Maxwell Perkins.
Whoa.
Who edited, you know who that was. He edited Hemingway and Fitzgerald and Marjorie Ross.
Yeah.
So I was lucky I didn't know who he was at first. But anyway, he wrote me a letter, and he said, reading this thing, it's some of the most god-awful stuff I've ever read. But then I come to a part where I can't stop laughing. And he said, here's a $300 check. If you work with me, we might get something publishable. So that was my first novel, which, by the way, is set in Arkansas. The Queen of October. Yeah. So he always told me, he said, your greatest strength is writing humor and comedy. So stick to that. So when I figured out we were suffering so much from loneliness and depression and whatever, I decided I was going to write this book, because I found the little story I told on NPR about Buddy the Florida brown dog. And I said, gosh, this is pretty funny. Wonder if I could expand it. So I started to, and before I knew it, I had told my whole life into 100 pages. And then I found this wonderful publisher who would bring it out right away. I don't want to miss this opportunity to enrich people's lives and give them some insight. So it's coming out tomorrow, and this is going to be fun because it really teaches us how to take care of our mental health.
Actually, it's out today.
Yeah.
Actually, it's out today because we're recording one day in advance. So, as you're hearing this,
it is hot.
The book is hot off the press.
On fire.
Yeah, there you go.
It is hot, and it's a short read. I always said, I had to wait for everyone in my family to die before I wrote my memoir.
There you go.
And then I had to make sure it was short so I would live long enough to write the last page.
I love it. All right.
So
now,
it's a really short read, yeah.
And it's called Itching to Love, and you can find it wherever you buy books, and I hope you will. And let me put a pitch in. I mean, it's so easy to go to our phones and, go to our apps and order, but I'm going to make a pitch that if you've got a bookstore close to you, that you go to your local bookseller and or your library.
Yes.
And if
ask for it.
If it's not there, get them to order some.
Yep.
So there you go.
Yeah, and we kind of positioned it as a Mother's Day gift. For Mother's Day, because it's about empty nest syndrome.
Yeah.
And I'll get to that in a minute about how Buddy could read that in me, and he chose me. So anyway, but first of all, I want to give you the epigraph because you all are into this.
Yeah.
Did you know that 20 seconds of laughter is equal in exercise to 3 minutes of rowing a boat?
Wow.
Whoa.
And a laugh is considered a reflex.
Yeah.
Like a sneeze, a cough, eye blink, and all of those reflexes protect us from something coming into our body to be harmful.
Right.
When you blink and cough and sneeze.
Right.
So we need to start thinking about laughter in that way.
Yeah.
If we don't laugh, I'm thinking we're going to end up in the booby hatch.
Who was it? Who was the writer that actually cured him? Was it Norman Cousins? Am I remembering that right? Who cured himself by locking himself away? And if I'm remembering correctly, he watched movies of Marx Brothers movies, if I'm remembering it correctly. Yeah.
Yes, you are. And that's referenced in my book a lot. And that's one reason I'm so excited being on this program, because for the first time, I really get to talk about what I learned in my research. And I'm really big on Norman Cousins because he got a grant from Joan Kroc to work at the California University Medical Center to quantify, to measure the effects of laughter on the body. And they found amazing things that all of us need to know. First of all, one thing was that in the ward for wounded World War II soldiers, they had a laugh cart. And I hope one day my book could be in a laugh cart, because they rolled it around and the soldiers read something from it. And then they found out that the calls for pain medication were so much less.
Wow.
After that. And then I'm reading all this biology. It's in Norman Cousins' book. It's called Head First, The Biology of Hope. And, I didn't know this, but when you go to medical school, you learn to treat disease.
Right.
But not many of us know much about how the body is prepared to repair itself.
Yes.
You can't laugh your way out of cancer, but you can certainly make a difference in your everyday life and health. Like, for instance, when we laugh, we release endorphins and enkephalins.
Right.
And enkephalins are peptides that signal the body to release analgesic properties to handle pain. And it doesn't mean just physical pain, it's mental pain too.
Right.
And so one of the, other than that, he has a lot of different research.
Well, Shelley, we may not be able to laugh our way out of cancer, but what we can do is we can relieve at the same time. If we relieve, we allow this body of ours, which is an incredible self-healing mechanism.
Right.
And we
Right.
allow it to do its thing.
Right.
If we get ourselves, if you will, so many times we're in the way of our own healing and we don't know it.
Exactly. Yeah.
Hmm.
And I'll share this with you because you can bring new information on it. After I graduated from college, like I said in the introduction, I wanted to work in mental health, not just to diagnose everyone in my family, but this was a long time ago. And as I was being trained as a therapist, this was before a lot of the drugs.
Yep.
Right.
To treat depression. And I was trained to say, if you're dealing with a very severely depressed patient, you should rile up their anger. If you get them really worried about something in terms of taking action, they get up and start living again. So I'm really thinking that we might be living in a nation of everyone self-medicating with anger.
Yeah.
And so I want to make the point that we can help each other out of this by collecting stories and telling them to each other and looking for that laugh.
Absolutely.
And I'll tell you.
Absolutely. And we've got a storyteller extraordinaire today as our life strategist. The book, brand new, just out today. It's Itching to Love. The story of a dog. Shelley Mickle is our life strategist. And you can already tell we got a lot to learn today from Shelley. So buckle up, come back right here on Strategies for Living. We'll be right back. Hey, let's talk about the Robinson Film Center. You know, I say it a lot. There's no place like the Robinson.
Absolutely, there is not.
617 Texas Street, downtown Shreveport. You've got so much. You got the movies. You got Abby Singer's Bistro on the second floor of RFC, open for lunch and dinner Tuesday through Saturday.
Newly remodeled.
Absolutely. Great menu. RobinsonFilmCenter.org is the way you check it all out. You can go to RobinsonFilmCenter.org at any time and find out what movies are showing. Here's the deal. You want to join the crowd, join the fun, become a member. When you become a member, you become a star. You get discounts on movies, you get concession upgrades, you get bistro deals. RFC, 617 Texas Street in downtown Shreveport. I'll say it again. There's no place like the Robinson.
There is not, and I'm glad we have one right here.
Absolutely. The RobinsonFilmCenter.org.
Reading begins not in the classroom, but in your child's brain. I'm Donisa Walker with Learning RX Shreveport. If your child struggles to read, maybe he or she has trouble focusing or comprehending, Learning RX Shreveport offers a science solution to reading problems, working one-on-one with your child, targeting his or her reading skills. Today, call Learning RX Shreveport. Make an appointment to have your child assessed. I know you want to help your child, so does Learning RX Shreveport.
Welcome back in to Strategies for Living here on 101.7 FM, 710 Keel. Lauren Leon McMillan, David McMillan with Shelley Mickle today, the author of Itching to Love, the story of a dog. And it is at your favorite bookseller right now. It is hot off the press today, and we are delighted to have Shelley Mickle as our life strategist here on Strategies for Living. So let's see. The dog is Buddy, and Buddy was your next door neighbor dog, right?
Exactly. You ready to talk about Buddy?
Yeah, let's talk about Buddy.
Okay, let's get to the Buddy. You know, the whole nation has gone to the dogs, literally.
Yeah.
Yeah.
After the pandemic, so many people got dogs. And what dogs do for us is they soften our voices. They remind us of the power of affection.
Yeah.
And they also bring out our leadership skills, because if you're not in charge, they don't feel secure.
Yeah.
So
Yeah.
I'm thinking most of these people now, after the pandemic, and I read a statistic where now 9 out of 10 people are keeping those dogs. So they're in a relationship they didn't really expect to have. So I'm going to be interested to see how it changes their lives, because basically this is what my book is about. Relationships change us. Every one of them changes us.
Mm-hmm.
So we're going to have a whole set of new people on this planet living with a dog. So how it came about with Buddy was when my kids grew up and moved out, I decided to renew an old childhood dream of being a cowgirl.
Oh.
And I'm married to, I grew up with Roy Rogers and Dale Evans and all of that. So I always wanted to be a cowgirl. And I'm married to a pediatric brain surgeon. And he was not home very much. And when he was, he was so tired I could boss him around. So I decided to build a farm. I built a farm, and at the time that Buddy came into my life, I had 2 horses, Skip and Robert Redford, and you can guess which one was the Palomino. So anyway, Buddy started digging out from his fence when his owner went to work, and he would hang out around my property, my farm.
Right.
And one day he ran into the barn and grabbed my horse's galloping boot, which is what you put on as protection when you're getting ready to ride them.
Right.
And he ran home with it, and those galloping boots had cost me $70. So I was outraged.
Yeah.
And I chased him home, and his owner left the garage door open enough for Buddy to get out of the bad weather or whatever. So
Right.
I pushed the door all the way up, and there Buddy sat in the corner with the galloping boot in his mouth. And I told him to spit it out, and he did reluctantly. And then I saw next to his feed bowl all of these things he had stolen from me and was hoarding. He had my shirt. He had my shirt that I'd taken off and left in the barn, and a towel I'd wiped my sweat on, and a water bottle, and my comb, and it went on and on. Now, this is the thing. It sounds really weird, but it is weird. As old as I am, I've had a lot of weird boyfriends, but I've never had the obsessive adoration that Buddy was offering me. So the next thing that happened was his owner called me, and he had been divorced like 2 years before, and he said,
Right.
Shelley, I'm getting married, and this new wife has a dog that Buddy instantly beat up. So if anything happens to this new wife's dog, this marriage is in trouble. So would you take Buddy? So of course I said yes, because he had already stolen my heart.
Right.
Yeah.
So that's how the beginning of this decade we spent together started. So it was a wonderful decade, and Buddy taught me so much about how I love differently, and he enhanced my empathy. When I started this long journey of wondering why he chose me, what did he see in me that I didn't see in myself?
Yeah.
So actually the book becomes a philosophical journey looking into all these philosophies and cross-species relationships.
Yeah.
I looked into shape-shifting by the indigenous people that practiced joining up with an animal.
Right.
And I looked into space travel because I wanted to know what the astronauts had seen. I came upon this space philosopher, Frank White, who has interviewed astronauts for over 20 years.
Right.
And so many of them say they went up into space as one person and they came back as another person.
Because they were able to view Earth
The
from outer
perspective,
space, and it changed them, didn't it?
Exactly, because you can't see any borders.
Yeah.
You can't see any different countries.
Right.
You can't see any different people. So we're all one.
It's
and I write
a
in my book,
phenomenon called the overview effect.
exactly.
Yeah.
And that's what Buddy gave me. When I joined up with him across our species, and when you read the book, you'll find out how remarkable he was. And let me paint just a little bit of word portrait of Buddy. Here in north central Florida, we have enough undeveloped property or woods that we have dogs that spoon in the woods unchaperoned. And so we have all kind of mixes of dogs. So Buddy was the color of an old cowboy boot, and he's what we call a Florida brown dog.
Okay.
His head was as big as a pickle gallon jar. He had snake yellow eyes. He was mostly bulldog, and yet on his feet were the dots of a bird dog. So it was
Wow.
clear he came from a long line of loose women.
There you go.
I love it.
I'll get to the end of the epiphany of the book. I used to say that if I tell you how it ends in Godfather talk, I'll have to kill you.
Right.
But but the point of the book is the journey of how I got there.
Yeah.
It's fun. The book is supposed to be fun, and if it doesn't make you laugh, there are recipes in the back of the book that will give you another chance.
All right.
So anyway, what I learned in the research of the science is that dogs' eyesight is very different from ours. They have fewer photoreceptors in their retina.
Right.
And so they have something called area centralis, and their more light comes into their eyes so they can hunt at night.
Right.
If you hear my dog
Yeah, I
barking
hear
in the
him.
I
background,
love it. That you couldn't get better than that, right?
that's the sound effects. Yeah.
That's publicity at its finest.
Yeah.
Yeah, we've got wild turkeys, and he goes nuts over the wild turkeys. So those photoreceptors in the dog's eyes don't let them see clearly anything very close to them. So they step back and gaze at our faces. And this is what's really fun. When you get this book in the hardback, you will see 3 pictures of Buddy in there. And it was before cell phones, because they're all old photographs. But
Right.
and everyone is gazing at my face. It's eerie. And I didn't realize that until I found those old photographs and then put it together with this scientific discovery of their different eyesight. So the point is, when they gaze at our faces, they read our emotions, and they may be the most emotionally intelligent creatures on the planet. And
Yes.
Buddy
Yes.
could tell that I was missing my children.
Yeah.
And being a bulldog, he was hardwired to have someone be the center of his life and guard them. And I was missing being the center of my children's lives. So we were a perfect match.
Yeah. A match made in heaven, if you will.
Exactly, except that he smelled too bad for that.
I love it. Well, Buddy had fun. Buddy had fun out on the farm. You know what? You can't blame a guy.
Oh, yeah. That's the only thing we ever argued about, was that he liked the way he smelled and I didn't.
Yeah, I understand.
How often did Buddy have to get a bath?
As often as I could pull him out from under the truck, I would poke him out with a rake handle. Because another fun part of that book was that the owner brought him over and said, "He's now yours." And I said, "Do I get a bill of sale?" And he said, "No, I'll never challenge your ownership for him." But I had to make him understand he was mine and not go home to his feed bowl.
Right.
We had something other than feed that it was otherworldly, why our relationship and why he chose me. So one of the most fun things I think to do is choose lipstick shades at the grocery store as if they're art supplies.
Right.
So I had because I've always boasted that I'm a really good kisser.
Right.
And when gave a keynote speech here at raise money for the girls club, I followed the next year after our sheriff, who's a female, and she wore a gun while she gave her speech. I couldn't best that. So I said, my claim to fame is I'm a good kisser. But then, of course, to prove it, you have to ask people that you've kissed how it was. And I didn't want to do that. I might have learned the truth. So anyway, I picked out a shade. I picked out a shade for Buddy called Crazy in Love Ruby.
Okay.
But I kissed him on the forehead every day, and I said, "You're now Buddy Mickle."
I love it.
So that was my birth.
That was how it came to be. Well, now, folks, you can read all about Shelley's relationship with Buddy and so much more in Itching to Love, wherever you buy books. Shelley Mickle is our life strategist today. And I want to, when we come back, we have something else in common because you have a bond with Verna May. I had Lucille, but when we come back, I want you to talk about Verna May. Can we do that?
Well, of course, I'd love to. She's the star of the book.
There you go. We've got more to come here with Shelley Mickle on Strategies. Stay with us.
From the bayou to your table, we're keeping it alive with flavors from the family, passed down to survive. The Godfather's here with a twist in the tail, alligator Italian sausage, and it sure won't fail. It's the boss of the bayou, a taste you can't refuse. Italian tradition, Cajun infused. Godfather sausage, bold and true. But Padres bringing the bayou to you.
Get the Godfather alligator Italian sausage only at Fertitta's Delicatessen, 1124 Fairfield Avenue in Shreveport. Pick up a muffy while you're there. The Godfather alligator Italian sausage. It's a taste you can't refuse. Sold only at Fertitta's, 1124 Fairfield Avenue in Shreveport. Dealing with stress, pain, feel like you're running out of options? When your life is balanced, wellness is a given. True wellness is holistic. It's about the mind, the body, and the spirit, all in balance. Now, there's a place right here in Shreveport that's all about helping us achieve peak mental, emotional, and physical health. The Balanced Life, 117 Kings Highway, right next door to Strawn's. Come see and feel the difference getting your life in balance can be. Many of your friends and neighbors have already learned the difference less stress and pain mean in their lives. You can book a discovery session right now online, thebalancedlife.us. All you've got to lose is stress, pain, or maybe both. Come see and feel for yourself the real difference balanced wellness makes. The Balanced Life Wellness Center, 117 Kings Highway in Shreveport, next door to Strawn's. Thebalancedlife.us.
Facing the same old problems day to day makes you wanna holler, get away. Looking for the road that'll get me there. Looking for hope and peace to spare. Looking for strategies for leaving radio.
And you found them. You found Strategies right here at 1017 FM, 710 Keel. Strategies for Living, that is. Lauren Leon McMillan, David McMillan, Shelley Mickle is our life strategist today. Itching to Love is, it's hot off the press today. So wherever you buy books, I hope you'll get a copy of Itching to Love and continue this wonderful conversation that we're starting today with Shelley Mickle. Okay, so we were talking about things that we have in common, and I know you had a bond with Verna May, your parents' housekeeper, and talk to us about Verna May.
Well, I'm so glad you brought me to this point because I think she's the star of the book, and she's now 94 years old.
Oh, wow.
And she's known me since I was 6 years old, and I'm 81. So you can do the math because I didn't make A's math. But anyway, how we came together. And when you read this book, I say, now if I've not irritated you so much, you're still reading. So now you get to know the miracle of Verna May. And I'm so happy for people to learn about Verna May. So anyway, in 1950, there was a polio epidemic that came through the Mississippi Delta.
Yeah.
And I was one of the few children in the first grade that was contracted the virus. Mm-hmm. And immediately I was whisked to isolation hospital in Memphis, where I would be separated from the public. And I was there for 3 months. And you're not contagious after the first 2 weeks. A lot of people, and something to think about, is people today don't understand viruses. But I've been asked twice in my life if I'm still contagious. And I say, not for that.
Right.
Maybe for something else, but not for polio. So anyway, it was in 1950 before TB. I don't know what in the world we kids did in that ward. My year, there across the nation, 33,000 children contracted that virus. And it stole muscles. It changed us in a lot of different ways. Okay, but the big thing for me was 2 children died next to me because they couldn't breathe. Wow. They were being put in iron lungs. Right. And you can look that up and learn the history of that. Yeah. So I don't know what we did all day long, but anyway, the mail started coming. And Verna May wrote me letters backwards, and across the front of it was, hold this up to a mirror. So I puzzled those out all day long. And we were already friends, but we became even closer friends because she understood always my need to tell a story. We loved stories. She was my sound effects. Oh my gosh, she could scream like a ghost was getting her. And she would cook pork chops for my family and could gallop her tongue like a posse getting away. And when I needed a gunshot, she would let go with one in my story. So, but we talk
you didn't
now.
Need TV with the two of you.
Of course. And so, this was a funny, touching thing is after I went home after 3 months, I had to go back for physical therapy like once a week or twice a week. And my mother would get Verna May to put my little wheelchair in the station wagon. Right. And my mother would go shopping, mainly for a new purse. So anyway, one day a couple looked at me and said, oh, you poor little thing. And they dropped a bunch of coins in the lap of my dress. And Verna May wheeled around and said, ice cream time. And we often, even now today, we never talk about how that each made us feel. Because think about it, a Black woman in the days of Jim Crow, separated from so many parts of sharing our life. And me being seen as contagious or different or something to be pitied. And neither of us were to be pitied. In fact, people have asked me, well, what happened to your flair for comedy? I said, well, after I got braces and crutches, I set myself up on the corner of that little cotton town with a mason jar to collect money. Until my mother grabbed me and said, that's not something you should do. But Verna May and I saw it as a way to pay her electric bill.
There you go.
So anyway, I'm thrilled for people to get to know Verna May because she's just a miracle. She loves more deeply and completely than anyone I've ever known. Wow. And in that love is part of her forgiveness. Right. To how her life was separated from us. And
man, couldn't we use more of that today? And,
oh yes, that's what I'm so thrilled that people will read about Verna May in this book.
The other thing, and you touched on it earlier, and we've only got a couple of minutes, 2.5 minutes left, but I want to mention also, because you touched on this earlier, getting us past our differences to get along and making peace. And you talk about the imperfections of great leaders who were fundamentally good people, but they were also flawed. For instance, Thomas Jefferson and his often contentious relationship with John Adams. And
you know all about that. Wow. I'm so impressed because I want people to understand who we are really. And you only know that through the founding history.
Right.
And so the way I brought that in was Thomas Jefferson was a writer and he was a musician. And that's why he was one of 5 of a committee assigned to write the Declaration of Independence. Otherwise, we would have a Declaration of Independence sounding like a insurance policy telling you you're not covered for flood damage.
Instead, we have a flowing, unifying, wonderful document. Yeah. And
right.
Yeah.
And those founding fathers worried a lot about what was going to unify us because we didn't have a shared religion or ancestry.
Right.
So it's actually the Declaration of Independence and believing that people like Berna May deserve justice and opportunity in their lives as much as any of us. And that's what we live with. And so I'm really big on everyone really understanding that and harking to it. And also, since this is Women's History Month, there's a little bit in the book about Abigail Adams. She wrote her husband at the 1776 Congress, "Please remember the ladies." It's a very famous letter because women... are you playing the music to get me off?
I'm playing the music to get you off. We got to go. We got to go pay some bills. Hey, folks, you can continue the conversation, and I hope you will, with Shelley Mickle. The book is Itching to Love. We'll be back to wrap up our conversation here on Strategies in just a moment. Stay with us. You're going to see the difference. When you go to Azalea Cleaners, you'll hear about it too. Azalea Cleaners has been fine dry cleaning since 1958, plus laundry, alterations and repairs, comforters, wedding gown cleaning and restoration. You'll hear about it from your friends because they'll see it too. They'll notice the Azalea difference. Azalea is convenient. 732 Azalea Drive, 9220 Ellerby Road, and 9227 Mansfield Road. Plus, the front door of your home or business with Azalea's delivery on demand. Just text SETUP to 249-8283, and Azalea will pick up your clothes and deliver them back clean and fresh to you. You can't get closer than that. That's the Azalea difference. You'll notice it right away. Others will too. The Azalea difference. Fine dry cleaning since 1958. Text SETUP to 249-8283 and get the Azalea difference. AzaleaCleaners.com.
Hi, this is Jay Merle for Pintail Roofing. Let's talk about quality. When you hire Pintail to build your roof, here's what you can expect. Quality and quality control are the most important concerns for us at Pintail, and you need to know that Pintail stands tall with swift and professional performance on any warranty call. This is our most important policy. And remember, we're your neighbors. We'll be here for you for the long haul. Our family's lived here for over 100 years, and we aren't going anywhere. On the commercial side of Pintail's business, our fluid-applied roofing solutions can save thousands of dollars over conventional commercial roofing options. Call Pintail at 226-ROOF for a free inspection of your home or commercial building. That's 226-7663. Pintail Roofing. What's the condition of your roof?
And welcome back in. Welcome back into Strategies for Living. Lauren Leon McMillan, David McMillan. and the author of Itching to Love, The Story of a Dog, and so much more. Shelley Mickle, our life strategist today, and I hope you will get itching to love and continue this conversation that we are starting today with Shelley. Shelley, what do you want to leave us with? What do you want to impart? I wish we had, 3 more hours here to spend. You'll have to promise us to come back. But what do you want to leave us with today?
Well, I want everybody to reach out for each other and tell funny stories every day, because humor, we've talked about this in this program, of what it does for our bodies and our mental health. It doesn't have to be complicated. Like, for instance, 2 years ago, I gave a talk to the Friends of the Library about just this very thing of telling stories, and afterward this woman came up and said, well, my mother's in Alabama and she's 100 years old, and yesterday she went to the doctor for a checkup, so of course I called her today to see how that doctor's visit went, and she said, well, it was absolutely awful. It was horrendous. He looked terrible.
I love it. I love it.
So I want people to collect those little things and give them to each other and make each other laugh.
Absolutely. Nothing more important.
Laughter is medicine.
Shelley Mickle, the author of Itching to Love, The Story of a Dog. Get it where you buy books. Shelley, thank you for what you do, and thank you for being a great life strategist. Folks, thank you. We appreciate you being part of Strategies for Living. We do this each and every day for you, and we can do it because of our wonderful sponsors, the Robinson Film Center, and Azalea Cleaners, and Pintail Roofing, and Learning RX, and the Balanced Life Wellness Center, and Fertitta's Delicatessen, home of the Godfather, alligator, Italian sausage, and some pretty good muffies too. If today were the last day of your life, you only had one more phone call that you could make, who would you call? And what would you say? And why are you waiting? Make the call. For Lauren Leon McMillan and for Shelley Mickle, I'm David McMillan. See you next time right here on Strategies for Living.